Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. The first story describes the eternal issue between the boss and the work schedule of employee, which did not satisfy the OP. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. My boss asked why I didn't come in when I wasn't on the schedule. Alright, background. When I was hired for the job which I currently work, I was hired to work on Tuesday through Saturday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. This had been my schedule for months, never changing, as I was verbally told that was my set schedule. I even clarified this because I had to arrange childcare. For example, one week I was accidentally left off the schedule entirely and was told to just work my normal schedule. Around Thanksgiving time, we closed down for a week. The company policy is that you have to work your last scheduled shift before the break and your first scheduled shift after in order to get your holiday pay. On the Monday following Thanksgiving, remember I'm normally off on Mondays, I got a call saying I was scheduled to work and that because I didn't come in, I wouldn't get my holiday pay. This kind of pissed me off because I'd been told I would work Tuesday through Saturday and thus had only arranged childcare those days, so I couldn't come in that day if I wanted to. The exact phrase I was told over the phone was, "It's your responsibility to check the schedule every week because we don't have set schedules." Fast forward to this week. While checking the schedule, I noticed that my schedule is the same as normal, with the exception that I'm off the schedule on Saturday. So I decide to not look a gift horse in the mouth and just take the 3-day weekend and don't mention to my boss that she left me off. So Saturday, which I normally would work, I don't go in since I'm not scheduled. I got a call from work and didn't answer, no voicemail left. Then I receive a text from my boss saying that my schedule never changes and that it would be a no-call, no-show on my attendance record for not coming into work. I reply that I'm not on the schedule and so I'm not required to come in, as it's my responsibility to check the schedule every week because we don't have set schedules. I received no further reply and am looking forward to seeing how work goes on Tuesday. And our second story. Ex-wife told me to remove all my stuff from her storage unit, so I did. My ex-wife and I split up because she cheated, so our separation was quite tumultuous. She still hasn't apologized for the act of cheating and still denies it, even though I know beyond any reasonable doubt that she did. I was incredibly hurt at the time, and I'll admit I wasn't acting my best, but I still tried to treat her fairly. When she left, we agreed that she would take over the payment on our car because she needed it for work. Our other car was totally paid off, and I couldn't afford the loan on the one that she was driving. But I agreed to leave my name on the loan because her credit didn't qualify. TBH, I didn't really have an alternative. I told her that she could keep it for as long as she made the payments, and that if she paid it off, I would immediately sign her over the title. But if she started flaking on the payments, I would have the car voluntarily repossessed. I also agreed to give her the washer and dryer on the condition that she take over the car payments. I had purchased the washer and dryer but had no use for them because I lived in an apartment at the time. This is important for later. Well, we inevitably got into a disagreement over the parenting of our children. I can't remember exactly what it was about, to be honest, and she randomly showed up with the car, handed me the keys, and said, "Have fun figuring out how to make the payments." She knew I couldn't afford them, and then ended with "and get all your crap out of my storage unit." We hadn't finished untangling the mess of items in our jointly owned storage unit, but she wanted it done immediately because she was mad. So I did what she asked. I went over that day to get my crap out of our storage unit. While I was in there, I saw the washer and dryer sitting in the corner and immediately remembered that I had only given them to her on the condition that she pay off the car. So I took them. I had absolutely zero need for them at the time, but she had very specifically wanted my crap out of her storage unit, so who was I to argue? She called me a day later screaming about it, telling me that she had filed a police report. I just laughed, knowing they wouldn't do anything because it was my property. The story gets better. As it turns out, she was just angry and actually wanted the car back. Well, the day after she dropped it off, I got into a freak accident and totaled it. Everyone was okay, so she ended up without a car, and I never had to make a single payment on it. The universe wanted to maliciously comply with her demands. And our last story. New manager enacts major team changes and forces staff to her will. Enjoy losing your A players? Many moons ago, I worked at an IT help desk for a large multinational firm. We did desktop PC and Mac repair. We also managed the phone systems, email, and file servers. My team was located at Corp headquarters. Since it was a large facility, we carried two-way radios at the time. We used the radios to dispatch calls while we were away from our desks. We were a solid team with great management. There were approximately 2,000 end users we looked after. The end users were corporate finance, marketing, IT analysts, etc. The executives for each of these divisions were located in this complex. These senior team members, myself included, provided white-glove service to executives. We worked nights and weekends when it was required, server installations and migrations. My team were well-known and liked throughout the organization, mostly because we did a great job at solving those pesky computer problems. This team operated flawlessly for years. Then our manager was promoted to a director. They hired a woman from outside the firm. I've never had a problem working with women, nor a woman as my manager. Until now. We'll call her Alicia. A little background. A small portion of the team were allowed to do server installs and migrations. This was considered more delicate work. It required senior staff. It was considered to be a step up on the team if you were on the server maintenance staff. I was one of them. Doing server installs and migrations also got you out of doing grunt work with the end users. It was a nice change of pace. I enjoyed this work. Alicia immediately put changes in place. She mandated only team members with NetWare certification, I'm dating myself, were allowed to do server installations and migrations. I didn't have this certification. However, I learned by trial and error. I had completed dozens of server installations and migrations flawlessly prior to her arrival. Alicia didn't care. She knew only the best were certified. Since this meant a sort of demotion for me, I obviously wasn't happy. I let her know. She noted it. She also noted this was done in stone and wasn't going to change anything. I went back to PC desktop duty. I wasn't happy, but couldn't do anything about it at the time. The first server migration queued up under this new arrangement was the new email server. The process was to build new server during the week, start email server backup COB Friday night. When backup was complete, implement new server into production and restore email. Simple. However, I wasn't certified, so I wasn't allowed to help. There were a few people on the team selected to do this install. Hey, they were certified. They'd not done any live installs or migrations prior to this event. I had a great weekend. The server migration team did not. The team was still working feverishly on Monday at 9 a.m. to get the new server online. They decided it was too late to back out of the migration. They couldn't figure out how to resolve their issue. I mentioned a few things to check and gleefully went about my duty. I was called to a senior executive's office. He was the second in command to the CIO. I was going about my business, helping him with his PC. It's now 10:30 a.m. and 2,000 end users don't have email. He asked if I knew about the email outage, and I confirmed. He could hear the chatter on my radio and was concerned. He mentioned if I knew the details of the problem and the resolution. I answered affirmative. I also answered that I wasn't allowed to help. He picked up his phone and spoke to someone. 30 seconds later, I'm called over the two-way radio to make my way to the server room immediately. I show up and there are 20 people standing over a console. 10 to 15 of them are executives from the corporate divisions. Alicia and her smug face were present as well. The server migration team is looking like they'd had better days. They look like zombies. I ask a few questions, then I swing into the command seat at the console. I now have 20 people staring over my shoulder. 30 minutes later, I resolve the problem and email is fully functional. I gleefully go back to my PC desktop duty. Fast forward about 5 to 6 weeks, I decided I'm not staying around for more of Alicia's nonsense. I interview and am selected to be hired at a different division. This is the client side of the business, the big leagues. No more PC help desk for me. I talk to HR and there's some minor paperwork to process for the internal transfer. My new manager wants me to start ASAP. He speaks with Alicia and they set a date for 3 to 4 weeks out when I'll transfer. I'm pumped. My last day on the PC team is on a Friday. I step into Alicia's office in the AM to say, "Nice working with you. Good luck in your future endeavors." She plays dumb and asks where I'm going. I remind her of the date for my transfer to the client division. She said she hadn't signed the paperwork for the transfer. She really needed me to stay for another 4 to 8 weeks so she could hire a backfill. Let's just say I wasn't happy. Like, really not happy. I head off to my desk in quite the foul mood. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Now I'm PO'd, I'll probably lose that new job. Then I get a PC troubleshooting call at the office of the CIO. I head over there and meet up with the CIO's executive assistant. She's a super sweetheart. She and I always hit it off, and she's always great to work with. She also knew I was usually very happy-go-lucky. Usually. She notices my mood is not my usual self, and she was concerned. I explained to her the situation with my new job and Alicia's response. The executive assistant says, "Stay right here, I'll be right back." Meanwhile, I'm fixing her PC problem. She had busted into a meeting the CIO was holding with all of his executives from around the country. Pretty big deal. She stopped him in his meeting and explained the situation. She then came back to her computer and typed something, then printed it. She went back into the meeting. 2 minutes later, she handed me a simple letter from the CIO. It plainly stated Friday was my last day, and Monday I was going to be working at the client division, and good luck with my new adventure. It was signed by the CIO. She kept a copy and asked me to give a copy to Alicia. She gave me a big hug and said, "Good luck with my new role." I immediately skipped into Alicia's office and handed her the letter. I said, "Thanks for everything and good luck." Needless to say, she wasn't happy. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.